All right. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jake, or Freezing the Mind, and today I have a very special guest. I have Brie Adkins. So I wanted to interview Brie because I think she has a really interesting story. I think she has some really great content on her YouTube channel, and I'm so excited to find out, along with you guys, just in depth, like what she does. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy, this video. So, Bree, so tell me a little bit about yourself. So I know you have this series, Christ, Curls, and Conversations.
Yes. Yeah. So Christ Curls and Conversations actually started, I would say, about a year ago, and it's totally like shifted gears into a completely different phase of my life. At first, I was doing it because I really I love Christ. I love having conversations, and my hair is curly, and I was learning how to do like hair tutorials online, which is really funny. So like I would learn about hair and then have conversations with people about Christ while I was doing it. Everything kind of shifted from there whenever I had broken up with my boyfriend at the time, and I was learning a lot about, for one, how to be a better woman, how to be a better woman in relationships, how to be just what I'm looking for in a man. Um, and that had to do a lot with not fornicating, not pornography, and that was stuff that we dealt with a lot in our relationship that I didn't want to bring into marriage. So I was like, I need to get to the root of this problem, and I just decided to keep the name the same thing, Christ Curls and Conversations, because hey, I still have curly hair, still love Christ, and I still love having conversations with people. So yeah, I've just kind of looked deeper into understanding what the Lord has to say about um, sex, pornography, masturbation, not fornicating, fleeing away from it, all that type of stuff, and temptation at that, and what Satan's grounds are, and him trying to basically kill, steal, and destroy us when it comes to this type of stuff. So, yeah, that's basically what my platform is. I share a lot about that, and it's been a fun journey and more of an understanding of, I guess, in a sense, what my purpose is with God, I guess. Like, I found a little grounding of what I want to talk about, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, that's awesome. I love that. I love that you kept the title, especially because of your hair. I know for me, during this pandemic, my both of my parents tried cutting my hair, and I had to take the whole thing off. So, so I know the importance of hair for sure. So that was awesome. Well said. So Bree, how long have you been making videos, and what do you think? Do you think Christ, like other than Christ, who I'm sure inspired you to make videos, is there any like other like person who may help you get started?
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually didn't start making videos. I started making videos in 2013 or 2014. Um, I was actually really nervous making my first video. I saw someone online. She's just one of my Facebook friends who I've never even met in person. She made a video about how not to be afraid in front of the camera and not to be afraid about what other people think. Like, we've got stories inside of ourselves, so we need to share those with the world. And I was like, man, that sounds really good. Like, I should probably get in front of the camera and start like making videos. And I remember like whenever I first did my first video, I typed out everything, like literally everything, and read it off of the script and just did the video. And everybody like was really happy that I made the video, and they were like, wow, that was really good. And then I just got a little bit more comfortable where I was like, okay, I don't need a script anymore. Let me just go from the heart and say whatever's coming inside me instead of typing everything out. But at that time period, I was a lot more into the universe and not God or Christ or anything. I was a lot more on the foundation of just believing in the universe and spirituality. And I thought that I was a psychic and a medium and doing tarot cards. And so whenever I would do these videos, people were really interested in learning about their higher selves and drugs and psychedelics and all that. Um, so I share a lot about that in these videos, and it's actually interesting because I grew this platform that I had back then to about 20,000 followers, where where I was sharing with them about the universe, like extraterrestrials, other planets, past lives, and I guess the more and more, I don't know, I was just doing video after video, and it just became like my business. But then Jesus came in and was like, "We really need to get this out of the way." So I deleted the whole Instagram in, I would say, 2017. I gave
Okay.
my life to Christ in 2016, but didn't actually like really follow him until 2017. Like really just give my whole life to him. And I was like, all right, you're right. I need to get rid of this. Like it's nothing on you. Um, so yeah, it's been a huge transformation. That's for sure.
That's that's honestly really awesome. That's really cool. Absolutely. I just to kind of relate to you a little bit. I know actually the same year in 2017, I had thought of myself as a Christian my whole life, and I remember I was watching these. I love like fossils and dinosaurs and stuff, and like I remember I was watching this video, and I was like, oh, you know what? Like I'll still believe in God, but I'll only believe in or I mean, I'll only believe in God. I won't believe in the Bible. And Jesus
Right.
told me very quickly how wrong that was.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's actually really interesting because same as you, like it was like I was believing in God but not the Bible.
yeah.
Like I remember I was super deep into astrology as well,
Mhm.
where I thought that God was telling me that the Bible was all astrological. So I was like, "Oh, I'm going to teach everyone about astrology and how the Bible is just astrology." And then like someone had to like correct my mind and be like, "No, like that's not what he's saying at all." And then the more and more that I opened my eyes and was reading the Bible, I realized like, oh, I really need to set everything that I was doing to the side and completely just take on the mind of Christ, you know? So that has been, yeah, like I said, a huge transformation and transition to like, I'm not just about God without the Bible, but it's like, it's all one.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I would imagine that that was probably pretty hard at first to like, kind of realize that. And so I wanted to know, why is in particular the topic of pornography, excuse me, so important to you?
Mm-hmm. So pornography for me has been a huge struggle like my whole life. It I think so the first time that I ever witnessed it was whenever I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, pretty crazy. I wasn't like addicted at that time. I just like randomly searched up I searched up Britney Spears online whenever I was younger. And I
Right.
was just Britney Spears pictures, you're young. So I think I searched it on one of the search engines back then, and a bunch of like pop-ups started popping up on the computer. And I think that was when LimeWire was big. So like there was just viruses after viruses. And so all these pop-ups popped up on the computer, and it was just like a bunch of images of people having sex and just like moving pictures back and forth. It wasn't even like videos.
Right.
uh, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? My mom's gonna kill me. Like I need to exit out of everything. And as I'm like trying to exit out, more of them would pop up. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And my mom gets home from work, and I'm just like next to the computer. I was like, I don't know what I did. So my mom is right next to me, like closing out of every tab as I'm right next to her, like looking at the computer. And it was pretty embarrassing, but we never really had like, she kind of was just like, what were you looking up? I was just like, I just looked up Britney Spears, you know? and and she was my favorite artist at the time. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's normal for a child to be like, oh, I want to like search my favorite artists or whatever. But yeah, so it after that, I didn't get a computer till I was like, I think I got a computer around like whenever I was 15,
Mm.
my first one. And I remember the first thing that I wanted to search was, what was that? Like what did I just experience whenever I was 8 years old? I want to know what that is. And obviously, like at that time period, I had already known about that stuff, but I didn't know that there were actual websites to go to, like porn sites and all that. So I was just like searching online. Um, like I think I like searched like penis and vagina or something like that. I know, it's so silly. It's so silly. But that's what I searched up, and it came to all these videos and these sites. And I was like, whoa, this is all just like freely out here. So I went to them and I was like, whoa, this is really interesting. And it wasn't like, I knew that I had to do it in hiding. It wasn't something that I felt like I could do around other people.
Right.
But this became a thing, like a daily routine and a habit. Like every day, like I'd get out of school and I'd go and watch it. And I just be more watching it instead of like the masturbation process, because I didn't even know that that like went into it at all. I was just like, whoa, this is going on online. And it's really crazy that it's just so accessible, especially now.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so up until even like I said, before Christ, I was actually trying to let go of it,
Mm.
because I knew whenever I was, I think it was about 20, 21 years old. I'm 26 now.
Okay.
20, 21 years old, I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like this is getting to the point where I'm doing this like 4 times a day. Like
Mm.
I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my energy. I'll wake up in the morning and do it. I'll shower and then want to do it. I'll go out and something will tempt me and I'm like, all right, I don't want to be out anymore. I want to go home and watch pornography. And it was just a constant like, just a train inside my brain and cycle of me wanting to continue. And um, the first time, actually, it's crazy. The first time that I ever had gone, um, like 45 days, whenever I was counting at the time, was reading this book called The 21 Day Cleanse. And it was, um, it was the first time that God was ever mentioned in the book, where they didn't mention Jesus, but they mentioned God. And I had never been about saying the word God or anything like that, because I was just always about the universe. But for some reason, when this book had the word God in it, it struck a different chord in me. And I don't know, it allowed something to happen to me where I wanted to stop and kind of like give my life to God. And I was like, okay, like whatever this God is, like I need you to help me. Like I need you to help me stop this. So after that book, it helped me go for about 45 days, and then I kind of just like went back to it, because I didn't really have like a foundation of like, okay, like why am I stopping? Like what's the point of God? Like what's the point of all this? Um yeah, but like I said, it is big for me because it was a battle before Christ, and it still is a battle with Christ. It's just I have Jesus as my foundation, and whenever I think about wanting to do it, I fall back on him and realize what he says. I go to the Bible, I pray. Before I had Christ, it was like, okay, well, I have God, but who is this God? And I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I letting go of this? What's the point? Like, I know that I'm addicted, but like, I still want to give in to these desires. And there's no reason for me to stop. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't give in to these desires. It wasn't until I had the Bible that made me realize, oh, it's okay for me to have these desires, but let me give them to God so I can see if these are his desires as well. And his desires for me are way different than the fleshly desires that I have. So
Amen.
that is what changed for me, helping me realize, like, whoa, these desires that I have are not in relation to his desires. So that's been a huge reflection for me to realize why I'm actually quitting. Yeah.
That's wow. That's incredible. That's awesome. Um, so do you think that with with Christ that it was a lot easier essentially to kind of combat pornography, or do you, or are there any kind of here's a better question. Uh what, is Christ kind of like a coping mechanism for you to help fight off fleshly
So
desires?
no, I wouldn't say that it's a coping mechanism. For
Mm,
me, Christ saved me from so much that I can't even, like, it would be days, years, forever me explaining that. But for me, it's realizing that these the fleshly desires that I have will continue to be ingrained inside me because we live in a fallen world.
right.
And that's something that the Lord has taught me, is like, there's distractions everywhere. Like, the God of this world is not our Father in heaven, it's Satan. And so Satan wants to knock us off of our path, no matter which way we go. And that's why, like, with the Lord, he's helped me correct my mind and given me like this narrow road to walk, showing me baby, I know you want to play. um Showing me basically sorry.
No, it's okay.
Hey Rachel, I'm gonna throw this down there, okay? Here, it's down there. No, it's fine, don't worry. um okay, so yeah, basically he's given me this narrow road to walk, showing me why he did the things for me, why, like, he died on the cross for all my sins, and for everyone else's sins, not just mine. And when I recognize what he did on the cross, and literally took on every sin of the world, it makes me realize, like, whoa, like, that's stuff that he took from me, where he's given me an access way to my Father in heaven. And it's not necessarily this coping mechanism, but it is the foundation that I live my life on. And man, I wish I knew how to explain that a little bit better, but it's just, he's basically the I mean, he is my life. I basically feel like, like what it says in the Bible, like, you die to yourself and you live for him. So whenever I feel like doing a certain thing that is totally in my flesh, totally against the ways of God and Christ, I realize, like, whoa, like I recognize that I want to do it, but I need to put those to the side and realize, like, hey, God did this for you, so continue to live for him. And any time that there is a sin that I do partake in, I realize that that's stuff that's getting put onto the Lord.
Right.
And I'm just like, whoa, like, I don't want to keep sinning and putting that onto the Lord. Although I know that he already took it, he already took the beating, he already took all that. I don't want to continuously do that, knowing that I put that on him, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. That was really well said. Actually, my one of my favorite scriptures of all time in Matthew, it says, "He who," and forgive me, I'm a new Christian, so I'm also learning scriptures. It's like, he who tries to save himself will die, but he who loses himself for my sake will live. And that's like,
Yeah,
I love that scripture so much.
it's
Um,
super good.
Absolutely, and I think you answered the question perfectly. Obviously, I'm asking deep questions. I don't ask the easy ones. I ask the
No,
hard ones.
they're really good because it helps me find clarity a little bit more of this whole topic, because still it's something that I wonder about as well. And people have told me that you don't need Christ to fight an addiction, and I totally get that. I get that because I've seen people who have gotten rid of pornography or have gotten rid of drinking or any of those type of things without Jesus. But the thing is they need something bigger than themselves
Right.
to get them out of this. They need a strength bigger than themselves. And whether that is an accountability partner, that's them relying on a higher power or something like that. They need something bigger. And what worked for me was Jesus. But it wasn't just that Jesus worked in that area. It's like he's working in every area of my life. It's not just with pornography and all these other things that are happening. Like I said, it's not just with pornography, but it's with everything in my life. And I don't think that happens with a lot of other things. Like, I don't know. It's very
I,
fascinating to think on for sure.
I know exactly what you're saying. For me, like I had so many, just really quick, really briefly, I had so many issues before I gave my life to Christ, and it's funny how like when Christ introduced me to Him, how all those other issues got connected via that one, surrounding
Oh, yeah.
issue. So I totally know what you mean. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you can do things without Christ, but I think that it makes things a lot easier, and I think that you when you apply Christ to everything, is really just that much more,
Mm-hmm.
really just such a blessing. So
And just like you, I'm a new Christian. I mean, it's been about 3 or 4 years, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't really start like following him until, like, I would say the end of 2017, 2018, whenever I got in my last relationship. And then it didn't really start hitting me until I got out of the relationship and just being with him. And so there's certain scriptures that I'm still learning as well, but there's one scripture that gets to me all the time, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it basically says, do not put your confidence in yourself or you will end up falling.
right.
And and I realized that the more and more that I was putting confidence in myself, saying like, oh, I can do this, and like I'm the one doing it, and I was counting the days of, oh, I haven't done this many days, and I haven't done it this many days. And for me now, I kind of like stopped counting the days, because I realized that the more that I was counting the days, the more that I was putting the strength and the confidence inside myself.
Wow.
And I was just like, I don't want to do that anymore, because I would end up falling every time I was doing that. And I was like, nope, I'm done counting the days. I'm just going to put my faith in the Lord and like have him do this for me, and I know that he will. And it doesn't matter about how many days I go or whatever. It's knowing that Christ is your foundation and the one that you look to towards everything. And that's the thing is, like when you're fighting such an addiction like pornography or drinking or just drugs or anything like that, it's there's going to be tempting moments where people want to slip up. And there were moments that I slipped up. And but the Lord is never angry at you when you do slip up. Like he loves us regardless. He loved us while we were sinners. And that's that he sent his son down like while we were sinners, not like because we were already perfect. And that's the thing that I always recognize. If there is ever a slip up, I just run to my father, and I'm just like, okay, Lord, like something happened here. I need you to correct my mind, show me wisdom where something happened. But he never like reprimands me or um, is like mean to me or anything. Like he loves me, and he loves it even more that I come to him about it and am asking him for the wisdom of where wasn't I listening? What did I let slip in? You know, and I think a lot of people sometimes say like, oh well, if you sin, you don't love God. Um, but I don't agree with that.
I agree with you not agreeing with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't agree because we are sinners. We, like I said, we do live in a fallen world, and there are going to be moments where sins slip up. There's things that we are unknowingly doing in our lives that are sins that we don't even know.
Right.
And something that so this is totally off topic, but
That's okay.
when I notice that I get like I'm so focused on one sin in my life, like pornography, that I was like, Lord, I need you to help me get this out of my life. As soon as that comes out of my life, another thing pops up where I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I was doing that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like he makes me aware. He like lights up another part of the area inside me where I'm still operating in an area of sin that I didn't even know about. Where I'm just like, oh, okay, I need to work on that too. But I know that the Lord is working on that area. That's why he showed it to me. And so it's just really cool to like put my faith in him and not inside me.
Amen. That's awesome. I think we've pretty much answered just about every question I had. I Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I usually like to end with one kind of light-hearted question.
Yeah.
So it's a little it's a little silly. So I'm sure you've heard the term, but they call food that looks good food porn.
Oh yeah.
They probably shouldn't call it that. What do you what do you think?
Yeah. Um, food porn, word porn, all that type of stuff with the ending of porn. I think porn should be deleted from like all the internet and and everything. When it comes to food porn, um, yeah, it's basically like you're salivating over this food for sure, and then you are like, wow, like I don't know. I used to say some weird stuff as well when it came to food, where I would just be like, wow, like this food is literally like orgasmic. like I
Right.
stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, that's really sexual. Like I've never said this type of stuff about food, but why does it feel so like sexual when I'm eating this food and it's great? And I don't know. I think it's really fascinating that that is a term, but we tend to sexualize everything. You
Yeah.
know, like our world really does sexualize everything. Food, movies, like you know, even commercials. Like when you're in a commercial and a girl is eating a burger, but she has like a bathing suit on. And the only reason they
Right.
have this girl in a bathing suit on is so you're thinking about sex and you're thinking about the food, and sex and food together is like a great pair, I guess. And then it what's the word? I feel like it gets your taste buds going, where you're like, oh, that food makes me hungry, and there's a hunger for the sexual energy inside you. So I need to feed myself with this food that the commercial just showed me.
Right.
So it's really interesting. Um, but yeah, I don't really know what to make of it much. I know that there's probably some underlying tension of why it goes on. I used to have an Instagram account where I would do not food porn, but I would call it word porn.
Okay.
It was all poetry, and and it was just like sexual poetry, and I would call it Word Porn Wednesday, and I would just it's so it's so silly. But yeah, I'd share a poem every Wednesday that was it was like super like pornographic and sexual and erotic, and it gets people's minds thinking and then thinking and fantasizing about things that can happen with other people. And it's just like, why do we do that? Why do we let this part of ourselves come out and be shown to other people that I feel like should only be shown to your husband or your wife, you know? Um, but our world doesn't really have a knowing of that.
Right.
So it's like, okay, that sex sells. So we just continue to do it. So I'm just trying to do my best and share why that's not right anymore.
Awesome. Well, and that's exactly why I had you here, you know? So,
Awesome.
absolutely. Well, I think very well said. I think that concludes everything. I'm going to link all of Brie's social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Anchor, Venmo, Facebook, YouTube, everything.
Yeah.
So definitely follow her on all those platforms. And yeah, thank you guys so much. And have a good one. Take care.
Thank you so much, Jake, for having me on.